Good noon, all of you. I hope I am visible and audible to you. I am Nikita. I welcome you to this session, MA at CET Verbal Reasoning. So, today we'll talk about the logical reasoning section of MA at CET, and there you have questions from verbal reasoning. Okay, so questions that are based on language but they employ your logical reasoning skills again. Okay, so these are the questions that we are going to discuss, such as statement assumption, statement conclusion, strong weak argument, cause effect, right? So there are various question types that come under this head. We are going to discuss those today. Good afternoon, Dharmi. All right. So I'll briefly talk about how to attempt each question type and then I have a few examples of each question type for you. That's how we are going to proceed today. Okay. So let's talk about this question type called cause effect. Cause effect. Now, as you can see on your screens, the instructions for this question, look at the options actually, and that will give you an idea. See, so there are two statements that are given to you. You basically have to first figure out, are they related to each other? Right. So, in case they don't even appear related to each other, in that case, you know that there can't be a cause effect relationship. One cannot be the cause of the other. So, in that case, what should be your answer? Yes, if they are not related, which one of the options should you mark? Either option A or option C. In case they are not related, so you would say they are effects of some independent causes. So one has been caused by something else and two has been caused by something else altogether. Or they are independent causes. That means their nature is that of a cause, but they are not related to each other. So both of them are causes, but they are not related to each other. Right? So in case they are not related, these are going to be your answers. Now students ask me, how do I understand whether a statement is in the nature of a cause or in the nature of an effect? Okay, if I give you one statement, how do you realize whether this statement is in the nature of a cause or an effect? Suppose I tell you, good afternoon again. Okay, now, suppose I tell you that the ball rolled onto the floor. The ball rolled onto the floor. Tell me, is this in the nature of a cause or an effect? Is this in the nature of a cause or an effect? Yes. Yes, tell me. The ball rolled onto the floor. This statement, is it in the nature of a cause or an effect? Good afternoon, Shivam. Rajan, I'll answer your query later. The ball rolled onto the floor. Effect or cause? Waiting for your response. Akash says effect, okay. Shama also says effect. Aniruddha says confused, okay. Aruna says effect. So probably you are thinking, I think, and now I'm trying to see what your thought process has been. So probably you thought that, okay, someone kicked the ball or something triggered the ball to move and therefore the ball rolled onto the floor. So that's why it's in the nature of an effect. But what if I tell you the ball rolled onto the floor, it hit the vase and broke it. It hit the vase, kept on the floor and broke it, and the vase broke. So now, is it still an effect? Now that you know another sentence, another statement, now it becomes a cause. So when a statement is given alone to us, when a standalone statement is given to us, we cannot really judge whether it is a cause or an effect. Okay, that's a very difficult job to do. And that is why, option A and C students are confused whenever they are not related, whether I should say they are in the nature of an effect, both the statements, or should I say they are causes? Because in a standalone way, I cannot really determine it unless I have some context. So that is why keep this in mind that C is rarely the answer. Independent causes is rarely the answer because it is difficult to frame a standalone statement in such a way that it looks like a cause. Okay, so whenever they are not related, this is going to be your answer. Whenever the two statements are not related, A is going to be your answer. Remember this. Okay, for your examination purposes. Now, what if they turn out to be related? Now, let's say you read them and they turn out to be related. For instance, in this question. So now you have to figure out whether they share a cause-effect relationship or not. So, how do I check this? We don't have to see that, okay, this should be the only cause that can bring about that particular effect. Or this should be a necessary cause without which the effect cannot be brought about. We are not that strict. We are not that strict when looking at these two statements. We just think, is this statement sufficient to bring about the other statement? Is this statement sufficient to bring about the other thing that is happening? If yes, then yes, they do share a cause-effect relationship. So now read this and tell me, do they share a cause-effect relationship? These statements, do they share? And if yes, then what is the cause? What is the effect? What's the answer? Good afternoon, Shivam, Laden. All right. Tell me quickly, what should be the answer to this question? Waiting for your response. What has happened? Okay. Samriddhi says E. I got another E from Runal earlier. Okay. So Sonali, when let's say, see, you will always usually be given two statements. Okay, this is the standard format of this question, right? So when you are given two statements, but you realize that they are not related to each other. If there are two statements given to you, but they are not related to each other, then I was telling you that this is always going to be your answer. Both statements 1 and 2 are effects of independent causes, or sometimes the examiner writes both statements 1 and 2 are independent effects. Just two ways of writing the same thing, that they are independent effects or effects of independent causes. Then this is always going to be your answer, right? In 99.99% of the cases, because it's very difficult to frame two unrelated statements in such a way that they look like causes. That's what I was saying. Okay, E is the answer, absolutely correct. Those who've marked E. All right. Statement 2 is the cause and 1 is its effect, right? Because we see we are talking about chemicals here, again we are talking about chemicals here, right? We are talking about waste from industries here, again a measure has been taken by the government to curb this. So yes, they are related, and yes, 2 is sufficient to bring about 1. Okay, and that's why that is the answer. E is our answer. I hope this is clear. What does option D mean? Let's see that for a moment. Both are effects of a common cause. Both are effects of their common cause. When you read two statements, they are not completely unrelated, but they don't seem to be very directly related. You read two statements, they're not completely unrelated, but they are not very directly related, right? So, so in that case you should think, can they share a common cause? Can they share a common cause, right? Is it possible that one common cause is bringing about both these statements? To give you an example, if I say statement 1, bird flu sorry, killed 5 people in China. India has banned the import of poultry temporarily. Now, so if you look at these two statements, they don't look to be completely unrelated. But statement 1 talks about China. Something has happened in China. Based on that, India has banned the import of poultry. Any and all import. That's what I'm talking about, right? I'm not saying just from China. India has banned the import of poultry temporarily. Doesn't it seem to be a little extreme considering that it's spreading in China? So it's not completely unrelated, but it's not directly related also. In such a case, you should be suspicious and you should think probably this is the answer. So can you tell me what can be a common cause? What can be a common cause here? Tell me, what can be a common cause here? That bird flu, both are the effects of a common cause, correct. The common cause being that bird flu is spreading, let's say in Southeast Asia. Bird flu is spreading in Southeast Asia. So because of that, if it's spreading in Southeast Asia, it makes sense that okay, it was present in China, it had an impact in China, and because of it, now it makes sense to ban the import of poultry temporarily. Otherwise, if something is happening just in China, why is there a general ban, right? Okay, if at all the ban had to happen, right, then mostly let's say from China, that's it. And there also, just it has killed 5 people in China. I'm not saying that's less, but comparatively, yes, it's less, right? So the fact that justifies it is that probably it's spreading on a large scale, right? And that is why both these things have happened. So it's spreading, that's in the region of Southeast Asia. And that then explains both the things. So this is the answer when we have such a case. This is the answer when we have such a case. Hope this is clear to you, right? So I have explained all the options to you, various permutations and combinations that the examiner can ask you. This is a simple question type, an easy question type, and a scoring question type, right? Now let's have a look at another question and tell me what should be the answer here out of A, B, C, D, E. Read the statements carefully. Okay, that's my advice to you. Let's see what you say. Okay, I've got two responses. Samriddhi says A, Dharmi says B, Prem says C, Ayush says C, Laden says B. Ayush is saying C for sure. Krishna, B. Sonali, E. D. All right. So diverse responses so far. But I think maximum I've got C. Okay, now C and B are competing with each other. All right, let's see this. So here we have B and C, right? So let's have a look. Statement 2 is the cause and 1 is its effect. Is it? Can B be the answer? That because the rate of inflation dropped, that is why the government has reduced the prices of petroleum products. This is something, see, that's happening. When the crude oil prices increase, inflation increases. When the crude oil prices increase, the effect is that inflation increases. When the crude oil prices decrease, the effect is that inflation decreases. It's not the other way around. Okay, read the newspapers. So B cannot be the answer in any circumstance. Now look at C. Both are independent causes. What did I tell you? That this is rarely the answer in just 0.01% of the cases, because it is very difficult to frame standalone statements in such a way that they clearly look like causes. So in case they are unrelated, in case you feel they are unrelated, not that related, okay, then you will mark this as the answer, option D and not C. Okay, so either D or E, either D or E. Why is A not the answer? Let's look at that. A is not the answer. In fact, I thought that students will get confused with A, because I'm saying the government has reduced the prices of petroleum products by 5% a week after increasing the prices by 10%. Okay, so a week, I'm saying. I am not talking about the last week in statement 1, right? So 5%, let's say per week, it could mean, or 5% in 1 week, right? But definitely not the last week. The rate of inflation dropped marginally during the last week. So this could have happened due to something else. And this year it's dropping it every week, let's say, or in one of the weeks, could have happened because of something else, right? So both these are effects of independent causes here. This is a very recent situation, whereas this is a more general situation. It's a general statement. It shows something that's recurring, whereas this is more recent. So they are most likely effects of independent causes. Okay, I hope this makes sense to you. Why D is the answer? Good. Those who mark D, Vaibhav, Shama, Sarish. Good. So hope this makes sense. This was about cause effect, right? I've explained all the combinations to you. Now, let's talk about statement assumption, our next question type. But before we come to it, a question was asked, that is option elimination a good thing for RCs? Absolutely. Always eliminate. And for RCs, this is one of the best things that you can do, because your options are very relative. It's quite possible that you've not been given the perfect answer for a question. So in that case, it's only through elimination that you can arrive at the most appropriate answer, as they call it, right? So that's why, yes, it's a great technique. Now, statement assumption. I think by now you must have practiced at least some questions on this, or you've seen some critical reasoning videos, so that you have at least heard of the word assumption, right? So, what is an assumption? Anything that is necessary for a statement to be true. Anything that is necessary for a statement to be true, that is an assumption. Okay, to hold true. So let's take this example. If I say Priya told her maid, go to the market, go to the market and buy some fruit. So this is an example that I absolutely love, because I get very diverse responses. And buy some fruit. Sorry for the handwriting and mistakes. Yes. Go to the market and buy some fruit. This is what Priya told her maid. What are Priya's assumptions? What is it that Priya must have thought? All that she must have thought, which is necessary for her to be able to make this statement. Tell me. Yes. So I've got some answers also here for this question, but I want to just briefly give you the concept also. Yes. What all has Priya thought? Okay, so you seem to be more interested in the question. Yes, so others also, please read the question and answer. Two, okay, so I've got 5 twos. Any other option that you seem? Very good, Ayush. The assumption is that the maid will obey her instructions. Correct, correct. Very good. So this is something that is necessary for Priya to be able to make this statement. If Priya herself thinks that the maid will disobey, she'll never give her this instruction. Yes? So good. This is how we look at assumptions. Something that the speaker or the arguer, the maker of the statement, right, must have thought before making the statement. That is essential, that is necessary for it to be true. And yes, 5 of you who have answered 2. No other responses, that's it. Bus 5 responses. You are absolutely correct. 2 is the answer for this question. Neither assumption 2 nor neither 1 nor 2 is implicit. Why? Because I have just talked about rural areas. I haven't made a comparison with urban areas. Right? There are more illegal and unauthorized shops selling liquor in villages and rural areas. See, we don't know why this food poisoning is happening. In the sense, fine, it is due to the consumption of liquor. But is the consumption high because there are more number of shops? I don't know. Why the consumption is leading to food poisoning? I can't say it's because the number of shops, illegal and unauthorized shops, are higher in number. Okay, comparison aa gaya first of all, which is not there in my statement. Second, I can't assume on my own that this is the reason why people are consuming liquor and why it is leading to food poisoning. Secondly, the ratio of people drinking villages is much more than that in towns, not necessary at all. Okay, it's quite possible that the ratio is not more. The same number of people, in fact, are drinking liquor in towns and in villages. But in villages, a cheaper variety and adulterated variety of liquor is being sold, right? So that's quite possible, and that's why even this is not an implicit assumption, right? So, Sahrish is saying the maid can go to the market. Correct, Sahrish. Absolutely. The maid knows how to go to the market. That is also an assumption of Priya. Otherwise, she would first explain the way to her. Right. Then, coming to that it's an easy job, and rather than wasting time herself, she should ask her maid. No, Prem, this is not implicit. Okay, that it's an easy job. See, it could be a difficult job, but probably she's hired the maid for that purpose, right? And it's not like Priya thinks of it as a wastage of time. Priya just has some other things to do that day. So it's not on her, like it's she has other things to do, but that's why she can't do it. But it's not a wastage of time. So this is not necessary, right? Anything that is necessary, that will be the assumption. Okay. So Saloni, what is not clear? The example or the question? Tell me. Yes. In the question, we were just given this statement that food poisoning due to the consumption of liquor is very common in rural areas. Right? Food poisoning due to the consumption of liquor is very common in rural areas. We never compared it to towns, to urban areas, isn't it? So assumptions 1 and 2 make this comparison. 1 and 2 make this comparison, which is not necessary for making this statement. And when it is not necessary, then it is not an implicit assumption. That's why 2 is the answer. Okay. So Ayush is saying that the maid has money is also an assumption. I would rephrase this a little. The maid can buy fruit. Yes, the maid can, financially she has something through which she can buy fruit. It's possible that currently she has some money on her. It's possible that Priya runs a credit with the store from which the maid usually buys fruit. Right. So some source of money is there. That is, yes, is an assumption. Some source of financing is there. That is an assumption. Right? Okay. So I hope this is clear to everybody now, and the answer is 2 here. Let's see another question. If it's still not clear, I think this will do the job. Yes. Statement. Pramod decided to get the railway reservation in May for the journey he wants to make in July to Madras. What are the assumptions that are implicit? Let's see what you say. Is too implicit? Is too implicit? There are more than one trains to Madras? Not necessary, right? There could be just one train. So 2 is not implicit. That is something that we know for sure. And therefore, this is eliminated. This is eliminated. Now, is 1 implicit? If this were not the case, see, a very good way to identify whether a particular statement is whether this statement here is an implicit assumption or not is, think the opposite scenario. Negate this. It's called negation technique, right? So if I say the railway does not issue reservations 2 months in advance, then will Pramod be able to make such a decision? No, then this stops making sense altogether. That means yes, this is an implicit assumption of Pramod ki tickets mil jayenge, right? So 1 is implicit definitely. 2 is not implicit. What about 3? It is 3 that is the decider here, and that's why I have included this question. Pramod, see, saying that there will be a vacancy, is that an implicit assumption? There will be a vacancy. Pramod decided to get the railway reservation in May for the journey he wants to make in July to Madras. So yes, Pramod thinks that he will get a reservation, that there is some vacancy. That is there. But there will be vacancy in the desired class. In the desired class. Is this necessary? Is making this assumption necessary? There will be a vacancy, till here it's fine. There will be vacancy in the desired class. There is no mention of class in the statement. Okay. And this therefore is not necessary. बस ticket available होगी. ये तो definitely case है, तभी उसने decision लिया. But किस class में मिलेगी? That is not something that has been discussed. It becomes extra. It becomes out of scope. And the answer therefore is A and not C. Does this make sense to you? Anything that is extra is rejected. Okay, see here, because of this comparison, I rejected it because towns की तो कोई बात ही नहीं थी, urban areas की कोई बात ही नहीं थी, so this becomes extra. Similarly here also towns extra, I eliminated these. Similarly here class becomes extra, right? More than one trains, that discussion hasn't happened, extra. So eliminate such options. The only assumption that is implicit here is 1. Hope this makes sense to you. Practice some statement assumption questions, right? And after a while, again, it's after some practice that you realize, okay, what is extra, what is not, what is out of scope. Okay, so otherwise, this is an interesting question type. Okay, right. Now, the next question type is assertion, reason. Assertion, stating something, right? That is an assertion. Reason, what is the reason behind stating this thing? So assertion, reason. You must be thinking it's like cause effect. Okay, this is the cause, this is the effect. But there's a difference. While cause effect relies mostly on logic only and not really on your general knowledge, these questions rely on your general knowledge. So they are a mix of logic plus GK, logic plus knowledge. And that's why if you do not know some fact, okay, then you can actually leave this question instead of just make mark something randomly and proceed, right? Don't waste your time there. For instance, if you don't know when Earth Day is celebrated, then there's no point in wasting our time here. Just mark what you think is likely, then make a guess and proceed, right? So yes, tell me, what should be the answer for this one? This will check your general knowledge also, how aware you are of your surroundings. So one statement has been made. First of all, you have to assess whether this statement is true or false. If it turns out to be true, then check this. Is it true or false? Check this. If both turn out to be true, then you have to see whether this is the reason for this or not. Otherwise, you don't have to see that. Okay. So you are saying D, is it? Today is 23rd. When was Earth Day? Earth Day was yesterday. Okay. April 22, right? So it is not celebrated on April 10. Right at this juncture, A becomes false. So this is an easy question because now that A is false, I know the answer will be D only. Okay, no, wait. There's a both A and R false is also an option. Okay. Both A and R are false is also an option. Now tell me, yes, you'll have to check the truth of R also. Earth Day marks the anniversary of the birth of the environmental movement in 1970. Yes, tell me, is that true? That Earth Day marks the anniversary of the birth of the environmental movement in 1970. So now this is checking our static knowledge, right? The first one in a way checked our current knowledge, our current affairs, and this one is checking my static knowledge. So tell me, is the Earth Day celebrated to mark it or is it some other reason? It is. Hmm. So basically, yes, many pieces of legislation regarding the environment were passed in 1970. So you could call that time the birth of the environmental movement, although it's a little older than that, right? But because a lot of concrete legislations were passed at that time, then that's why, yes, we can say that it is true, right? So A is false, but R is true, and that's why D is going to be our answer here. Okay. If let's say both of them turned out to be true, then we would check whether R is a correct explanation of A, R is actually a reason, or R is not really able to explain A. Okay, so let's look at the next question. Tell me what should be the answer here. So Karan, you can be selective there. I'll just answer this after this question. Okay. Okay. All right. I've got one response here. Okay. All right. All right. Good. All of you are correct. Both are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. And this is, see, this is common knowledge. Yes, this is not some super general knowledge that many of you might not have. So a lot of times you get such questions only in the off case when you get something very, let's say, esoteric for which you require special preparation and you don't know, then you can just make a guess and leave it. Okay, then we don't have any other option. How can we be updated about my classes? I meet you at 12 p.m. from Tuesday to Saturday. Okay. Plus, there are times when I have classes at 7 p.m., but this is not every day. So, for instance, currently we had a part one of most popular MAH CET questions. We have a part two of it, right? I'll just tell you the date. This will happen at 7 p.m. And after that in May, I think in May, we are going to start with last lab to MAH CET. I'll give you all this information towards the end of the session. Okay, I was myself thinking of informing you of this. So we're going to start with the last lab also. So that will again happen towards the evening, right? Otherwise, this is something that's constant. Okay, so A is the answer here. Now, I had a question earlier that for grammar, will it be fruitful if somebody, let's say, starts right now and does the whole grammar? See, you do not need to do each and everything there. Be a little smart about it, right? So, if you open any grammar book, no, it generally has two parts. One is concerned with grammar, the other with composition, right? Writing, framing sentences, etc. So, you have to focus on the grammar part, first of all. Secondly, in that also parts of speech are the most important. Now, parts of speech actually covers more or less everything. Like for instance, tenses, voice, they are a part of verbs. It's not something separate from verbs. So tenses and voice are covered within verbs. Adjectives, adverbs, modifiers are nothing but adjectives and adverbs, so they are covered there. So first focus on parts of speech, and trust me, even I have told this to you time and again. Even if you read just 6 to 7 pages of Wren and Martin every day, then you will be able to finish the grammar portion. The grammar portion of it, you'll be able to finish in 1.5 months at the most. At the most. And this is along with practicing the fill in the blanks that are given after every chapter. Right? So it will be fruitful because see, while students are able to answer 50-60% of grammar questions based on their hunch, okay, this is how we say it, this is how I've seen people using it. For the other 40-30%, you do require learning the rules, the concepts behind grammar. So it will be definitely fruitful for you. Okay, but yes, along with it, do practice questions from past year papers. That's a must. Right? Hope that is clear. So, Ladhi and I take classes every day. What more? How can I increase the frequency more than this? Right. Statement conclusion. Now, a statement is given to us, right, followed by one or more conclusions. We have to find out which of the conclusion follows. And when does it follow? When it is true on the basis of the statement. True on the basis of the statement. That's the only criterion that it has to meet. So here, an expression, a proverb is given to you. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Right? What is the conclusion that follows from this statement? These are your options. A very easy question type. Don't appear. See, it's fine for MAH CET. Janvi, that would be making it a little risky for yourself. I don't agree with this because see, vocabulary is something that's dicey. Because let's say you learned a lot of vocabulary words, you practiced a lot of questions also, but the words that came in the exam were not really those that you had learned. And sometimes you get about 15 questions, up to 15 questions from vocabulary. So that goes away then. Yes, in grammar, let's say you did all the concepts, so you got, let's say, 60-70% of your questions correct also. But then also that will reduce your score if you don't attempt any of the RCs. So I would suggest, why not attempt all the direct questions at least? If let's say you are someone for whom English is not a strength, then just focus on the direct questions of RCs. Don't attempt the indirect questions. Don't touch them. That's fine. But don't leave them completely. That would never be my suggestion. This all or none approach proves to be sometimes disastrous for students. Right? Okay, C, D, A, all right. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Okay, so this proverb means that something is beautiful because of the way you see it. Okay, so for the same thing, some people might find a house beautiful, the others may not find the same house to be beautiful. Yes, so beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. That means beauty is subjective. That is what this statement, this proverb tries to say. That beauty is pretty subjective. It depends on how you see a particular thing, right? So one definitely follows. That's the meaning of this proverb. Many people do not understand beauty. This is not something that I can infer, that many people do not understand beauty. Okay, it's just that everybody's perception of beauty is different. That's all that it is trying to say. So it's only one that follows. Good. A lot of you have said A. Cherish, Saurabh, Aruna, Samriddhi, Janvi, Aniruddha, Shama, Prem. Good. All of you are correct. Ayush, it is possible depending on the kind of paper that you get. Okay. So if let's say the paper is something, for instance, you get lucky in vocabulary, or let's say your guesses also work, right, and you get 100% in vocabulary. In grammar, you are able to apply all that you've learned, right? In RCs, the RCs turn out to be pretty easy and most of your questions are direct. Oh, okay, or let's say you RCs happen to be your strength, so you are able to attempt the inference questions as well. Then yes, okay. Otherwise, see, if I look at last year's MAH CET, there were some difficult words there. For instance, discombobulated. This was one word whose spelling was asked last time. Then otorhinolaryngologist. The spelling of this word was asked last time. So if it depends on the kinds of questions that you get, the kind of paper that you get, right? Okay. Coming to this, so this is the answer here. Very good, those who've marked A. B, second, when I say many people don't understand, it was not about understanding or not understanding. So this goes out of scope, right? Now, let's have a look at this. Statement is given to you. Which of the conclusion follows? Yes. Let's see what you say. Statement conclusion. After this, we have two more question types. Okay. Saurabh says B, Aniruddha B, Ayush B. All right, all right. So, absolutely correct. First can be very easily rejected because the argument is not about, the statement is not about population density at all, right? That how many people are living per unit area. We are talking about a household. Household is the number of family members, right? Or the number of members living in a house. So, it's not concerned with the area at all. First is rejected, and E says both, no, both don't follow. First is about the per unit area, whereas this is about household size, the number of people living in a house and not the area in which they live. It's only second that follows. Now some of you might be thinking second to diya hua hi hai, second mein kya conclusion hua? But what is given to you is the numbers 5 and 7. Okay, I understand that it appears to be very straightforward, but at the end of the day, you have applied your logic in realizing that okay, this is greater, this is smaller. That is why it's in the nature of a conclusion. Students get confused here and sometimes they mark neither. That's why I'm clarifying this. Okay, all right. So the answer is B. B. Second one follows because on an average, this is true that more persons live in the same household in the rural areas. By same household, I mean, I don't mean that they're living in the same house. Same household is, we are basically talking about the size of a family or the people living in a house, right? So that's why the second one follows. Hope this makes sense. Any query, any confusion so far, you can ask me. If there's no confusion, in the meanwhile, you can go and like the session. Right. Now, we have another question type. Okay, so stay with me for this one. This is strong, weak argument. Right. So here, I'll just show you the question type for a while. A statement is given to you. Okay, usually it gives us some sort of a problem that, okay, this is a problem or this is what should be done. Okay. So the argument says, yes, this should be done because, or no, it should not be done because. So it says yes or no and then gives us a reason for the same. We have to basically evaluate whether the given reason is strong enough or not. Whether it is strong enough or not. And how do we check this? Whether the given reason is strong enough or not? We read the reason very carefully first of all. We read it carefully. So we find out whether it is related to the problem or not. So we don't straight away start questioning the reason. अच्छा ऐसा तो नहीं है, मैंने तो ऐसा नहीं देखा. We don't use these sort of questions. We first look at its relationship with the problem. Is it related or is it not? So it should try to address the problem. It should be related and it should try to address the problem. I'm not saying it should completely solve the problem. Give a foolproof solution. No, it should just try to address it. It should be something that is logical and not biased, let's say. It should appeal to your reasoning. It should be sound, something that you find hard to refute. right? Something that is logically sound will be hard to refute. So it shouldn't be very vague, shouldn't be very biased, shouldn't look like a personal opinion, right? And something that can be implemented, of course, something that's practical enough, something that's humanly possible, feasible, and yes, it should be something that's valid. So this is related to logic. It should be something that is related in an important way to the problem. It should be related in an important way to the problem, right? So for instance, if I am talking about the fact that should smoking be banned, should smoking be banned, okay, and I ask you this question and you answer and say yes, smokers have a really bad breath, right? You say this in response. Yes, smoking should be banned because smokers have a really bad breath. Is this an important concern because of which smoking be banned? People who eat onions also sometimes have bad breath. Should we ban onions? Right? So the point is, it should be an important concern. It should state something that is desirable in nature, right? That is desirable. Something that is not undesirable, does not result in something negative, undesirable. Do not assume things on your own. Okay, when let's say a general statement is given, so for instance I wrote should smoking be banned, you don't have to assume should smoking be banned in India, that I'm talking about India's context only. So don't make such assumptions on your own, right? And don't compare the two arguments given to you. If two arguments are given to you, don't start comparing both of them. Read each of them independently. If you do this, then you'll be able to solve these questions, right? Okay, so strong weak argument. Let's see what you say here. Read the statement, read the arguments. So, okay, I usually think we should not ban cigarettes. Uh, okay. This is it a strong argument? They give us pleasure, so we should not ban them. Hmm. Is this a strong argument? Saurav is saying yes, it's a strong argument. No, it's a little vague. You need to relate why something that gives pleasure should not be banned, right? Because just because something gives us pleasure, that does not mean we shouldn't ban it, right? There are harmful things also that can give us pleasure. So if they are harmful, they should still be banned, right? So it's not a strong argument. Okay, good one, SG. So argument one is strong, all right. That's what some of you are saying. Others? Absolutely correct. A is the answer here. See, kids below 16 years may not be able to handle the violence. We are saying that it is about honor killing. So they may not be able to handle the violence or aggression shown in the movie. So it's a very legit concern, right? To not allow them to actually watch the movie. Now, this one says all kids should be allowed to watch this movie. No, kids can be as young as 5 or 6. So, all kids should be allowed to watch this movie. That's a very sweeping suggestion to make, a very extreme suggestion to make, right? This is weak. The first is strong. A is our answer here. All right. Okay. Now, coming to this one, there are four arguments here. Should the number of holidays of government employees be reduced? Right? And these are the arguments. Let's see what you say. It's not impossible. I can assure you that. It does require willpower. That is there. C, B, A. All right. So, not if you are saying B, only three strong. Okay, C is the next popular candidate. All right, all right. Let's see. So, first is basically making a comparison. This is called arguing by analogy or an analogical argument, right? So, we are saying our government employees are having the maximum number of holidays among the countries of the world. So, as long as it doesn't harm anybody, what's the problem, right? Also, why are we comparing it with the other countries? So, we first of all are we don't have to compare them to other countries, and as long as this is not doing any harm, we shouldn't really reduce it, right? Eliminate it. So one is not strong. The moment I realize this, A and C go out of the window. Second says yes. See, I don't even need to read second, but still, because there's a none is strong option, I'll still read it. Yes, it is a sign of British legacy. Why should we carry it further? See, there are a lot of signs of British legacy which we are carrying because they are, again, they are beneficial. They have proven to be beneficial for us. So just because something was borrowed from the British, even if it is good for us, so we should not ban it, right? We should not really reduce the days here. This is a very patriotic, jingoistic argument to make and not really a logical argument to make, right? Second is eliminate. Now, 3 and 4. Yes, it will speed up work and all the pending jobs can be completed well in time. Okay, tell me, is this related? Is this trying to address the issue? Is this important and desirable? Yes. It is related to government employees. They are, after all, doing some work. It is talking about the reduction in the holidays also. So, it is talking about the advantage that a reduction can bring about. So, it is addressing the problem also. Speeding up work, completing pending jobs. That's an important concern. And it's something that's desirable too. So, it's only 3 that is strong, right? Now, why not three? I mean, why not the fourth one? Students often ask me this. That this is also an important concern. No, they should be given ample spare time to spend with their family. That's important. Work-life balance is important. But uh, is it? See, spare time does not have to mean a holiday. Spare time does not have to mean a holiday. Your working hours, anything apart from your working hours is your spare time. So we can't assume that employees will be given ample spare time only when they have the current number of holidays. So this argument is not, it's going tangential. It directly related nahi hai to holidays. And that is why 4 is not strong. Hope this makes sense. Okay. Now, it assumes that work is pending. Okay. It does not assume this. Acha, you are saying that how can we write this? All the pending jobs can be completed well in time. See, it is not saying that currently there are pending jobs. It just says if there are any pendencies, then they can be completed well in time. So it's not assuming that currently there are pending jobs. Okay, it's just saying that there's a possibility that jobs can become pending. So if the number of holidays are reduced, they'll get more time to complete those jobs. That's it, right? Hence, 3 is strong. Okay. Now, coming to our next question type, which is course of action. Basically, again, a problem, a situation is given to you. This is just like decision making. You have to, and then 3 or 4 statements are given to you after it. You have to decide which course of action logically follows. Meaning that given this problem, given this situation, what should we do now? What should we do now? What should be our step of action? Okay, so now anything that you suggest, see there are again just here apply your common sense, that's it. Anything that you suggest has to be related to the problem again, has to try to solve the problem, address the problem, not completely solve it but address it. It has to be practical so that it can be implemented. It has to be a middle path approach. It can't be very extreme, right? It has to be ethical. So these concerns, just the concerns that we keep in mind in our real lives, that those we have to keep in mind while attempting course of action questions, right? So look at this problem here, this question here, and tell me that what should be the answer. There was a spurt in criminal activities in the city during the recent festival season. I like this idea of finding a good addiction to actually, curb your bad addiction, right? There was something similar that I read about procrastination. That if, let's say, you don't feel like doing something, then let's say find something else that you don't like even more, right? So then to avoid that other thing, you'll end up doing this thing that you were originally avoiding. So something related. Okay. Some of you are saying, I was saying 100. Okay. None follows. Why, Ayush? There was a spurt in criminal activities in the city during the recent festival season. There was an increase in criminal activities. So, shouldn't the police immediately investigate into the cause of this spurt, the cause of this increase? The police should investigate why this happened. That's the job of the police. Yes. So, first one definitely follows. So, A cannot be the answer. C cannot be the answer. Let's have a look at others so as to see maybe all follow or maybe it's just 1 and 2. Let's look at 3 then. The known criminals, so known criminals could probably be those who have committed a crime in the past, should be arrested before any such season. The known criminals should be arrested before any such season. The thing is, we should not wait for this season to arrive to first of all arrest known criminals. Okay, if they are known criminals, right? And moreover, they might not be the ones who are perpetrating these crimes during the festival. So actually arresting them might not be of any use. So that's why 3 is the one that does not follow. The answer is only 1 and 2. 2 also makes sense. No, see, this is an immediate action that they are taking. This is a long-term action that they are taking. The police should take adequate precaution to avoid recurrence of such situations during festival. So our good course of action, our logical course of action can be short-term also or immediate also, and it can be long-term also. Right? Short-term also and long-term also. Okay. So yes, Ladin. Which part? Basically, if there is an increase in criminal activities in the city during a particular festival season, then the police should first of all investigate into why it is happening and it should take measures to ensure that it doesn't happen in the future. Both of these make sense. That is why first and second follow. That's why B is our answer. Right? And yes, third is illegal also. If let's say you don't have any particular cause behind arresting them, then you can't really keep on making random arrests. Okay. All right. Look at this question here. Interesting question. Course of action. Correct, Ashish. Correct, correct. If let's say we do not know whether they have committed any crime, we are not sure of it, then we can't arrest them. Correct. Statement, courses of action. I think Prashant, you're talking about the previous question. Okay, okay, okay. I'll explain the difference. Good question. What do you say? So that depends, Ladin. Are you Osama or not? B is what some of you are saying. All right. So, the vehicular traffic, it has increased so much in the recent past that it takes at least 2 hours to travel between the city and the airport during peak hours. Trust me, this is someone from Bangalore who is talking. Okay, I actually feel bad for this person. Now, course of action. First says non-airport bound vehicles should not be allowed. Is this practical? Is this a practical course of action? That you are saying that on this road connecting the city and the airport, no other vehicle that is not going to the airport should travel. How is this possible? Because it might be going somewhere else also, no? So first is not at all practical. Third says the departure and arrival of flights should be regulated. Can we do this again? Is it feasible? As in, does it make sense that you change the timings of the flights because of the traffic on the roads? No. So even third appears to be a little extreme to do. So first and third eliminated, it's only two that follows. Two is fine. The load of vehicular traffic should be diverted through various link roads during peak hours. That makes sense, right? So good. Those who said B, all right. Now this one, it's a. I understand that I should have framed the options a little better here, but to explain you the difference between this and this, okay. None follows means that you are sure that none of these courses of action are logical. None of these means that these combinations that are given, they are not the answer. Some other combination perhaps, or let's say only three, that is the answer. But I agree with you, I shouldn't have given both of these in the same question. Okay, that makes it very ambiguous. Because in that case, none of these would mean none, would include none also. Okay, so I shouldn't have included both in the same question. Right? Good observation. Okay. Now, this was about our various question types for today. Okay, we talked about around 6 question types, and I hope they are clear to you so that now, if when you encounter these questions while attempting the previous year papers, you will be able to solve them. Okay, I tried to bring new questions because a lot of times you say that I shouldn't really bring a lot of past year questions. So these were new questions. Okay, and this is our program. I think you're already aware of it. Our CAT 2022 comprehensive program. It prepares you for all your entrance exams, and these are the features of it. You get live sessions, recorded sessions. You get a lot of practice material. You get books also in addition. So there's a lot here, right? And in case, let's say, you want to stay connected, you want to be a part of interesting activities that we keep on doing, you should join our Telegram channel, right? If you are a happening person, then yes, you can follow us on Instagram also. Okay, so this is about today's session. And yes, I have to tell you about tomorrow's, no, about Tuesday. Now we are going to meet on Tuesday. Okay, so let me just quickly tell you about what we are going to do on Tuesday and when are we going to meet at 7 p.m. Okay, let me tell you about that. So, see, even when, on and for the 12 p.m. Now, right now I'm talking about for the 12 p.m. bracket. Sometimes we have sessions for CAT students there, right? But even there, even when, let's say, I am teaching to the CAT students, ultimately what are we preparing for? We are preparing for RC passages which are relevant for you also. We are preparing for parajumbles which are relevant for any entrance exam. So usually at 12 p.m. you can attend each and every session that happens. You don't even need to think twice there, right? But specifically if it's MAH CET only that you wish to attend, then let me tell you, now we are going to meet with this session. Right now today is 23rd. Yes. So on 26th, I have MAH CET critical reasoning. Very important. Okay. It's a 12 p.m. session. Very important because critical reasoning questions have appeared in your English section. Okay. So do attend this one. Then the 7 p.m. session, most popular questions will happen on 28th April next. Okay. So उससे पहले हम 12 p.m. मिल रहे हैं, 28th को हम 7 p.m. मिलेंगे. Okay. All right, hope that's clear. Any query? Yes, that's the schedule. Okay, welcome, welcome. See you. Bye. Thank you.